1997 Volvo Penta. This is in a pontoon boat. It's a 4.3 V6, the metric one. It's got the metric motor mount bolts and the metric bell housing bolts. Customer brought it in. Engine wouldn't run, concerned some freeze damage or whatever, but found water in the cylinders. The engine was hydrolocked. We had to remove the engine to inspect it, which was the easiest way instead of working on it in the boat. And first things we notice is it's not red like a Volvo Penta should be. It's painted black. And wondering why, somebody went through the trouble to paint everything black. And they did it with everything apart because the hose clamps aren't painted. Some of the nuts and bolts are showing, the paint chipped off. So clearly it's been apart, right? But there's simple things like the oil sending unit, it's red. The engine block behind the bell housing is red. The paint is chipping off all over the bell housing. It's red. And I know I'm going on and on and on about the color of paint, which shouldn't make a hill of beans. But we also notice exhaust bellows are all split and torn and melted. And this is the indication of overheat. This is where the trim hoses were running across, and the engine got hot and melted both the trim hoses. So anyway, I want to put this on a stand so I can get the cylinder heads off of it and have a look at what's going on. And I go down here with my wrench to take these flywheel bolts off. I think these torqued to about 65 foot-pounds, and I just have a regular wrench on there, and look how loose that is. Look at that. Let's go to the next one. Loose. Let's go to this one. Loose as could be. Somebody never tightened the flywheel properly. That's a big deal. That would have vibrated this dampener around. It would have broke off, could have caused severe damage, even destroyed the engine, the crankshaft, the flywheel. It could have been thousands of dollars of damage. Just that simple thing. So whatever mechanic worked on this, please research and do things properly before you do things like that, because you can cost a consumer a ton of money, unless you just don't give a damn. We didn't find any cracked blocks, but we did find the exhaust manifolds have been replaced. These are Sierra manifolds, and it'd be okay. For unsalt water, you want to flush it out every time anyway. The tattletale is, of course, the name Sierra, and the brass plugs. We look down on the engine block. It's not cracked, but the engine block is already painted. And there's a bunch of missed areas of paint, which is hard to see in this light right now. But there's a lot of missed areas of the paint, which means somebody went through a lot of trouble to paint this thing, but why? So I want to get down and look at the cylinder heads, see if the cylinder heads have been off of it, because we're suspecting blown head gaskets due to overheat. And I see the cylinder head there. Let me get a good picture here, that the spark plug is screwed into. And this cylinder head, the paint on it is a very thin coat of black, indicating to me that that's not the original cylinder head. Maybe it's been rebuilt and just a quick coat of paint on it. I see some seepage coming out of the corner. Suspect maybe it's not torqued properly based on the flywheel. Let's go around here to this other side and look at this cylinder head. And this cylinder head has got a bunch of factory, you can see the red paint under the head mounting area, indicating the Volvo Penta, but the cylinder head is like Mercruiser black. It's like a pull-off cylinder head, like a used cylinder head possibly. And you can see the head bolts have been off because the paint's all chipped, and they're the Volvo Penta colored head bolts, the red paint on them. It's got a new starter on it, but you can see the shoddy workmanship, in my opinion. Paint doesn't make the engine good or bad, but it sure tells some stories, right? So we got a starboard cylinder head that's got a thick phantom black paint job on it. We've got a port cylinder head that's got barely any black paint on it. We've got evidence both cylinder heads have been off, and we've got an overheat issue. We've got a flywheel that's not torqued. We've got water in the cylinder. We've got melted exhaust bellows. We also had trouble getting the drive unit off, which indicates the U-joint bellows are swollen, and though not torn, it would be very difficult to get the drive back on. So those need to be replaced also. So we're gonna continue our investigation of this. We're gonna put it on the engine stand and open it up and see what the hell's going on with this thing. And hopefully the engine is good. And I mean, needs some cylinder heads maybe, or just some head gaskets, but we do all the machining here in house on these types of cylinder heads. We can even build the engine. We actually have one of these engines ready to go, a long block assembly like this, but we don't want to put it unless it's needed. You know, this one may be perfectly fine. So anyway, I just want to show some of the shoddy workmanship that somebody did. I wish people would just quit doing that. You know, it just causes more and more problems. And now the water pump impeller, we're going to pull the water pump impeller out. We're going to take a look at that and see if that's destroyed or not. Or maybe we got a crack block internally in the lifter area, you know, would show. We're going to rip it down and go from there.